So let's fast forward to April 2024, when we've seen there's been lots of coverage about the proposed daytime evictions. And so when you think back to when you first heard about it, what were your thoughts? How did you feel when you heard that the city was planning to evict the encampment during the daytime?
That announcement was very emotional. I would use that word. It was a very difficult announcement for us to hear, because by then we'd been volunteering for 9 months. We got to know the people. We'd been on site almost every day. We were 5 days a week on site, 2 to 3 hours a day. So we'd gotten to know all of the people quite well. And when we heard that the city was evicting, because they didn't have the shelter spaces and because they didn't have the right type of shelters, we thought, oh my goodness, this is really concerning, because where will these people go? And basically we were looking at them going further into the woods, and we were very concerned about them.
And people were coming in and talking to us in the trailer that we have our donations in, and they were traumatized by this announcement.
What kinds of things were they telling you about how they felt about it?
Well, they were concerned about their belongings, what's going to happen to their belongings. Are people going to be accepting of them? They felt that they were going to lose their community, because it is a community. They were sad, they were scared.
Yeah. You've just talked a little bit about some of the reasons why the residents themselves and you have felt concerned about this proposed action. Can you talk more about that? Why are you and so many other people in the community against a ban on daytime camping or daytime evictions?
I can speak to that in this regard, that we know that we received a letter from doctors in the community, and there were 9 of them that were speaking to their well-being. We were concerned that we knew that they didn't have anywhere to go. They had a city that they feel didn't want them, they didn't belong in. We were concerned for their mental health. We were concerned for their physical health. We have many people who have complex medical issues. We have elderly with walkers. We have many people that are not coping well with their own aging process, and many people that were very concerned about how they were doing themselves and how they would cope with their substance use, how they would cope with their addiction. And we didn't feel that they would be able to take those tents down and put them up. So we looked at the disability piece of it and recognized that they would have disabilities to be able to do that.
I understand there's a lot of community opposition to this intention to evict. We also hear about concerns about the encampment itself not being a safe place for people who live there. I wonder if you could comment on that, because how do we reconcile this idea that encampments are not safe, but also people choose to live in them?
I guess we've been there now for 8 months.
9 months, yeah.
There's not one day where I don't feel safe. Like I walk there, I walk into the encampment, and I just feel like it's just a beautiful place. And I love the people there. Yeah, I can't say that I ever feel that I'm going to be threatened, or no,
it's a community.
Yeah,
it's a community, and I think that Brigit and I came into that community, and they welcomed us into that community, and they had a community before we came along. They are a community. They're a community. They support each other. They help each other. They work together. They feed each other. They take food to people's tents. They worry how someone's doing. They take care of someone when they're overdosing. They have a rule.
Put somebody in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brigit, go ahead and speak about that.
Yeah.
Really
I don't know
important.
how many times I've seen the residents or people helping put one of their friends in a wheelchair, and then there's 4 of them pushing the wheelchair. They come into the trailer, they leave the trailer, and they say, "Oh my God, you guys, thanks so much. We just love you." And we respond, "Well, we love you too." Mm-hmm. It's an incredible place.
Why do people choose to stay in it? One, there's this idea that we have a surplus of shelter beds, or that people are not accepting the available spaces that exist in shelter spaces. I wonder if you could comment on that. Is there space? And then if there is space, why aren't people staying there?
Yeah, there's a difference between a low barrier site and a shelter space. If we can talk numbers, we certainly have 531 that are homeless in Kingston. 68% of those are chronically homeless, so that's 361 people, and we believe it's actually more than that. We have 207 shelter spaces in the city, so we have hundreds on the street each night. So when we take our people that have substance use, that have addiction, that have mental illness, that have these complex disorders and head injuries, they can't just go to any shelter. So they usually can be restricted. They're often restricted from these shelters because of the type of rules they have in place. We don't have
a partner, they have a pet.
Yeah. Thank you, Brigit. You
Yes.
carry on with that.
Yes, no, but it's just as simple as that, right? They have a partner, they have a pet. Sorry, you can't come to the shelter,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And the low barrier nature of the type of rules that would be in place for our residents, the rules that are in place because they're mentally unwell, because they have co-occurring disorders, because they have head injuries, because they have addiction.
Can you say more about the head injuries? You've mentioned that a couple times. What does that mean?
In the report that was written by Candace Christmas was the author of that. The results of that report, that 91% of our residents had a head injury of some kind. So it could be something that happened. We had one young man that came to us the other day. He's just from the military, and he had a head injury happen to him in the workplace, and now he has no memory. And he said, "I won't remember you." And I said, "That's okay. I'll remember you.
Yeah.
So you don't worry. Let us remember you because we know who you are."